It was 207 loops since the fall of the Galavrak Imperium, and Lanha was unnerved by her orders. She had been told so little, and yet something didn't sit right with the council meeting. Every race had its ambassadors there. The human and their Kioshian representative, the Larashi and Zandir, were discussing something about hyperspace lanes, even the enigmatic Kalarius, and all the while her orders played over and over in her head. Support the returning race. The empire is many, and our wealth is vast, was what the High Emperor told her before returning to the council. She studied the latest of humanity's ambassadors. The woman was as much a diplomat as a war strategist. Lanha didn't understand why humanity changed its ambassadors every 50 loops, but they did, and every one of them was an enigma in their own right, always skirting around questions and never making hard promises. This latest one was called Ruit Abadi, and as far as Lanha could tell was the cleverest one of all. She always seemed to know exactly what whoever she was talking to wanted, always hinting at actions the Terran Union could take but never saying which outright. The Kioshian representative of the Kioshian Citizens' Republic was standing not too far anyway talking with a Maizani, and they seemed to be discussing a trade deal. The former Galavrik was dressed in traditional robes that covered most of her form. None ever knew what they looked like. There are rumors and gossip, but no one knows who the Kioshian people chose as their voice. The representative never showed their face even in broadcasts to their home. The Kioshian are far more reserved and secretive than their former selves, and it made the Empire's spies work a lot harder. Those same spies stole tech from the Terrans and found as many of their anchorages and shipyard. The same spies made her argue for hours with the High Emperor over whether or not the Empire can win a war against humanity. She was spared the executioner's axe only because of her bloodline, and the Emperor believed that she made a useful scapegoat. She still didn't understand why she was told not to worry about this meeting, but it didn't sit right with her. Finally, the council members found their seats, and the meeting could start. The Galactic High Council called for silence, and a tall Salsa-et stood. "We are gathered here to lead witness and hear a request by the Crown Prince of the Galavrak Imperium, Prince Kazdan, last of his name and heir to the throne of Galamar," they said as a young Galavrik of royal colors marched into the council and to the podium. He was dressed in a magnificent military uniform, complete with the imperial sword sitting at his hip. "Thank you, High Councilman. I am Crown Prince Kazdan, Crown Prince of the Galavrik Imperium, last of my name and heir to the throne of Galamar, and rightful sovereign of the Galavrican people. And I am here today to make a difficult request of this council." He spoke in a mastered cadence, all the while maintaining eye contact with everyone but two in the council. "I have come to call for a denouncement of the Terran Union and its immediate expulsion from this council. I have also come to call for full military aid for the reclaiming of my birthright, the Galavrik Imperium's territories, currently illegally occupied, but the slave nation of the Kioshian Citizens' Republic." He seemed to hiss the last words with utmost hate. The chamber was still. No one was sure of what to do. This wasn't happening. If the council voted and the request passed, it meant the Terrans couldn't be restrained by the council laws. "I am sorry," came the calm and soft voice of the human ambassador, "but the council can't pass such a request," she said as she rose from her chair. "Humanity has had 5 ambassadors be sworn into office after we joined. We are now legacies, and as such we can't be removed unless the whole council votes in favor of the act. If even one nation opposes the vote, it will not pass." She slightly leaned towards the Larashi ambassador. "As for the territories under the control of KCR, they are free to trade and make deals with every other nation of this council at their discretion. We only support them militarily, in the form of a defense pact." The Larashi ambassador stood. "We will always be friends to humanity," he said with conviction. "The Zandir Empire will never side against the Terran Union," said the Zandir ambassador, almost jumping from his seat. "Thank you both. Humanity sees your actions here today." The human ambassador responded. Lanier connected the changing of the ambassador. Davion left shortly after humanity gained a seat. He gave the role to his assistant, who left a few loops later. At this point, humanity has had about 6 ambassadors. They had done that on purpose, like they knew this day would come. "Crown Prince Kazdan," the human ambassador said carefully, We have been looking for you. Your people need you." She gestured her hand towards him. "Your family needs you. Your mother and sisters all need your aid to give your father and uncle a true rest." She watched as his face hardened at her word. "But you care not for my words. You hate us for the war, so listen to her." The humans step aside, allowing the Kioshian to step forward. "Kazdan, we see your anger and feel your grief, but this war you seek will end only one way." Her voice rang out from under the veil. "Please just shed the name of our failure. We need you," she said calmingly, her tone warm and full of promise. "Please do not doom us to conflict and strife. Our people do not need it." The Crown Prince looked unsettled a bit before his hatred returned, and he yelled at the representative. "Watch your tone, serf. You speak to your Crown Prince. I am as such due to the monster you stand beside. None of my family live, and as such, I am your monarch." The representative stepped back only to find the human ambassador placing their hand on their back and nodding. The Kioshian looked back to the prince. "I see you have bought all the lies you have been fed by your guards." The representative reached up and pulled back her hood and veil. Her brilliant chiton a wondrous shad of the imperial gold, her ridge stood tall as she aimed her 6 eyes at the prince. "I am Empress Salius, holder of the throne of Galamar, chosen ruler of the Kioshian Citizens' Republic." She watched her wayward son. "I disown you of your title and reject you as my successor. You do not know what the humans are or what you may unleash should you continue. Now renounce our former name and come home." "Mother, you have been fooled. The humans do not care for our people. They virus-bombed our homeworld. They do not care who they kill or how. They had killed far more of our people than we did theirs." The prince yelled back. "They kill our world and didn't blink because of overzealous admirals. I know exactly what they are. They are monsters and need to be purged. Surrender now. I have many friends and their wealth is vast. I can't save you if you stand against me." That last part rang home with Lanha. This is what the Emperor planned for. But the humans moved far quicker. This was meant to be a purge. But it was now a civil war. And that Galia cursed man promised a missing prince the Empire's support. She had to make a choice. She could follow orders and commit to a civil war. A civil war that would pit her people and the Empire against what she believes to be the singularly unbeatable race. Or she could stay silent and be killed for treason. She looked at the human, who was watching her. The human ambassador was watching her like she was reading her mind, and a memory from a short conversation with Reut came to her mind. She wasn't sure if she was imagining the conversation, but she remembered that the human ambassador said something about the freedom of self-determination and its rightful place for all sapient life, and she knew what she needed to do. Lanha nodded at the human and stood. "The Kalmazar Empire pledges its support to the Crown Prince Kazdan," she said before drawing a deep breath. "However, the Katval will not fight against humanity and requests its assistance in securing our freedom." The council was again left speechless. Twice now in one cycle had the unthinkable happened. "The Terran Union pledges full support of your cause. We will never leave those who are in need of aid without," Ambassador Reut said immediately after Lanha finished. "However, we can't fight 2 wars at once, so your people will need help." "The Larashi Star Conclave pledges its support of the Katval in their war for independence," Ambassador Thalsnik said, with a quick follow. "The Kalarius technocracy offers our aid in the form of ships and weapons to the Katval people. We will repay our debt to your ancestors," the Kalarius ambassador said as he stood. Lanha looked on in awe at the aid. Her people will finally be free. She looked to Empress Salius, who had turned to face her. "The Kioshian Citizens' Republic offer our aid in time. Once our civil war has ended, however, we will pray for your people's deliverance for the yoke of that tyranny." The Empress turns to face her son once again. "I do not know why you would refuse to join your family again, or what promises the Kalmazar Empire made, but you are no son of mine. You are now a Kaishimalov. You will find no friend in this war." The prince roared back, "My innocence is not lost. Current Terran date, January 30th, 3506. The beginning of the Independence Wars.